The stars burned cold and distant in the observation window as Commander Jake Sullivan stared into the void. His shift on the bridge of the human monitoring station had been quiet for weeks. Nothing ever happened out here at the edge of human space. It was boring work, watching empty space for threats that never came. Jake took another sip of his coffee and checked the sensor readings again. All clear. The same readings he had seen for the past 6 hours. He was about to call it a night when the console beside him lit up with urgent warnings. A quantum transmission was coming through. Jake sat up straight, his heart suddenly racing. Quantum transmissions were rare. They required enormous amounts of energy and could only be sent across vast distances in emergencies. Someone out there needed help badly. "Computer, accept transmission," Jake said, his fingers moving quickly across the controls. The screen flickered to life. The being that appeared was unlike anything Jake had seen before. The creature was tall and thin, with smooth blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Large, dark eyes dominated its face, filled with an emotion Jake recognized immediately. Fear. "Please, I am Ambassador Theron of the Valari people," the being said in heavily accented but understandable English. "We are dying. Our world is under attack. The Krathon Empire has come to destroy us, and we have no way to fight back." Jake's training kicked in. "How did you get this frequency? How do you know our language?" "We have been monitoring your broadcasts for years," Theron replied. "We know you are new to the galaxy. We know the other species think you are primitive. But we also know something else. We know humans understand war." The screen changed. Jake watched in horror as massive alien warships bombarded cities from orbit. Entire sections of a planet's surface burned. Millions were dying while he watched. "The Krathon have already destroyed 3 of our colonies," Theron continued. 2 billion of my people are dead. They give no warnings. They make no demands. They simply kill everyone they find. Our homeworld, Valara Prime, will be next. They will arrive in 5 days. "What about the Galactic Council?" Jake asked. "What about the other species?" Theron's face showed something that might have been sadness or disgust. "The Council has voted for neutrality. The Zarians claim they cannot risk war with the Krathon. The Morphines say they have trade agreements to consider. The Kaldari simply ignore our calls. Everyone who promised to stand with us has turned away." "Then why call us?" Jake asked. "We have been in space for barely 30 years. We have maybe 50 warships total. What can we do that these ancient civilizations cannot?" "Because you will fight," Theron said simply. "The other species in the galaxy have grown soft. They have forgotten what it means to struggle, to bleed, to die for something greater than themselves. But humans remember. You have fought wars for all of your history. You understand that some things are worth dying for?" Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "I need to report this to my superiors. Can you send all the data you have on the Krathon fleet?" "Already done," Theron said. "Please hurry. We have 5 days before they arrive. After that, the Valari will cease to exist." The transmission ended. Jake sat alone in the darkness of the monitoring station, staring at the data that was now flooding his computers. Ship specifications, battle formations, attack patterns, everything the Valari had learned about their enemy. He reached for the communications panel and opened a priority channel to Earth Command. "This is Commander Sullivan at Station 7. I need to speak with Admiral Peterson immediately. We have a situation." 3 hours later, Jake found himself on a video conference with the highest levels of human military command. Admiral Kyle Peterson's weathered face filled the screen. The Admiral was old, with gray hair and scars from the last war between Earth nations. He had been fighting since he was a teenager. "I have reviewed the Valari transmission," Peterson said. "I have also consulted with our intelligence division. The Krathon Empire is real. They have been expanding aggressively for the past 2 decades. 17 species have fallen to them already." Captain Lisa Martinez appeared on another screen. She was young for a ship captain, only 35. But she had earned her position through skill and courage. Her ship, the HSS Defiance, was one of humanity's newest and most powerful warships. "Admiral, with respect, this seems like a trap," Martinez said. "We barely know these Valari. Why should we risk our ships and crews for aliens we have never met?" "Because it is the right thing to do," said another voice. Ambassador Claire Mitchell joined the conference. She was humanity's chief diplomat to the Galactic Council. "I have been trying to establish relationships with the other species for years. They treat us like children. They mock our technology. They refuse to take us seriously. This is our chance to show them what humanity really is. It is also good strategy, Admiral Peterson added. If the Krathon are allowed to continue their expansion unchecked, eventually they will reach human space. Better to stop them now while we still have time to prepare. What are they offering in return? Asked another captain on the call. Everything, Peterson replied. The Volari are highly advanced in areas we have not even begun to explore. Their shield technology is centuries ahead of ours. Their medical science can cure diseases we still struggle with. They are offering complete access to all of their research in exchange for protection. And if we fail, Martinez asked, then we die with honor, Peterson said simply. And the galaxy will know that humans do not abandon those who ask for help. I am authorizing a response fleet. Captain Martinez, you will command. Take the Defiance and 14 other ships. You will proceed immediately to Valara Prime. Martinez nodded. Understood, Admiral. What are our rules of engagement? Protect the Volari by any means necessary, Peterson said. If the Krathon attack, you are authorized to use all weapons at your disposal. Show them what happens when they threaten the innocent. The conference ended. Jake watched as Captain Martinez's image disappeared from his screen. Within hours, the human fleet would be moving toward Valara Prime. 15 ships against an empire that had conquered 17 species. The odds were not good, but Jake had seen something in Admiral Peterson's eyes. A certainty. A confidence. The Admiral believed they could win. Maybe that was enough. Jake pulled up the data on the Krathon again. Their ships were larger. Their fleet was more numerous. Their weapons had been tested against multiple species. On paper, humanity should lose this fight easily. But the Krathon had never fought humans before. They had never faced an enemy that had spent thousands of years fighting itself. They had never encountered weapons designed not for conquest, but for survival against other humans who were just as clever and just as desperate. The Volari had begged for help. Humanity was about to answer, and the galaxy would never be the same. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Valara system. Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the HSS Defiance, watching the tactical display as her sensors came online. What she saw made her blood run cold. Valara Prime hung in space like a blue jewel, but above it loomed a nightmare. 40 massive warships surrounded the planet in a loose formation. Even as Martinez watched, bright lances of energy stabbed down from the ships, striking the planet's surface. Cities were burning. Millions were dying. "We are too late," said Lieutenant Ben Harper from the communications station. His voice was tight with anger. "No, we are not," Martinez replied. "We are exactly on time." Battle stations. All ships report ready status. Her fleet was pitifully small compared to the Krathon armada, 15 human ships against 40 Krathon vessels. But Martinez had not come here to run. She had come here to fight. "Open a channel to the Krathon flagship," she ordered. Ben worked his controls. A moment later, the main screen flickered to life. The creature that appeared was massive, easily 8 feet tall with thick gray skin covered in armored plates. Tusks jutted from its lower jaw. Its eyes were small and cruel. "I am War Prince Dracor of the Krathon Empire," the creature growled. "You have entered a combat zone. Identify yourselves before I destroy you." "I am Captain Lisa Martinez of the Human Defense Fleet," she replied calmly. "You are attacking a peaceful species without provocation. You will cease fire and withdraw immediately." For a moment, Dracor just stared at her. Then he threw back his head and laughed. It was a terrible sound, like rocks grinding together. "Human? I have never heard of humans. You must be a new species still learning how the galaxy works. Let me teach you a lesson. The strong take what they want. The weak die. This is the natural order." "I am going to give you one chance," Martinez said. Her voice was cold as ice. "Leave now or we will make you leave." Dracor stopped laughing. "You dare threaten me? You have 15 tiny ships. I have 40 warships, each one larger and more powerful than anything you possess. I could crush you without effort." "Then try," Martinez said and closed the channel. "All ships assume attack formation Delta," she ordered. "Weapons free. Show them what humans can do." The human fleet split into 3 groups, moving with precision that seemed impossible for such large vessels. Years of military training and countless simulations had prepared them for this moment. Every captain knew exactly what to do. The Krathon did not take the humans seriously. They had fought many species and won every time. They expected the humans to either flee or die quickly. War Prince Dracor ordered a standard assault pattern, the same one that had worked against 17 other species. It was a fatal mistake. The Krathon ships launched their plasma torpedoes in a massive wave. Hundreds of glowing projectiles streaked toward the human fleet. On the Defiance, Commander Ryan Cole watched his tactical display with cold calculation. He had been studying Krathon weapons from the data the Volari provided. He knew exactly how fast the torpedoes moved and how much damage they could do. Evasive pattern Gamma, Cole ordered. All point defense systems engage. The human ships moved like dancers, their smaller size giving them an advantage in maneuverability. Automated gun systems blazed to life, filling space with bullets that intercepted the incoming torpedoes. Most of the Krathon weapons exploded harmlessly in space. The few that got through struck human shields and armor, causing damage but nothing critical. "Their turn," Martinez said. "Fire." The Defiance shuddered as its main railgun discharged. A solid tungsten rod, accelerated to a fraction of light speed, crossed the distance to the nearest Krathon ship in less than a second. The Krathon shields, designed to stop energy weapons, did nothing against the physical projectile. The tungsten rod punched completely through the Krathon ship, entering through the bow and exiting through the stern. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship's reactor lost containment and exploded in a ball of white fire. "Target destroyed," Cole reported, his voice showing no emotion. All across the battlefield, human ships opened fire. Railguns tore through Krathon vessels like they were made of paper. Nuclear-tipped missiles, weapons that had been banned by the Galactic Council but never signed away by humanity, found their marks. Ships that had been considered invincible by their crews simply ceased to exist. On his flagship, War Prince Dracor watched in disbelief as his fleet died. "Impossible," he roared. "No species has weapons like this. Where did they get nuclear weapons?" "Those are forbidden." "They never joined the Galactic Council agreements," one of his officers replied, fear clear in his voice. "They still use primitive weapons because they work." The Krathon tried to adapt. They closed formation, thinking that concentrated firepower would overwhelm the humans. Instead, they made themselves easier targets. A human missile penetrated deep into their formation and detonated. The nuclear explosion caught 5 Krathon ships, destroying 3 instantly and crippling the other 2. "Reform the line," Dracor screamed. "Target their command ship. Kill the one called Martinez." 10 Krathon vessels turned their full attention to the Defiance. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes filled the space around Martinez's ship. The Defiance shook under the assault. Alarms blared as systems failed. "Shields at 40%, Cole reported. "Hull breaches on decks 7 and 9. We cannot take much more of this." "Then we do not give them the chance," Martinez replied. She opened a channel to her fleet. "All ships execute maneuver Whiskey 7. It was a tactic no other species would consider because it required perfect timing and absolute trust. The human ships charged directly at the Krathon formation, accelerating to maximum speed. The Krathon thought the humans were committing suicide. They concentrated their fire, thinking they could destroy the attacking ships before they arrived. At the last possible moment, the human ships cut their engines and flipped around, using their main thrusters to brake. They slid through the Krathon formation backward, railguns firing at point-blank range. The Krathon could not track them fast enough. By the time the maneuver was complete, 8 more Krathon ships were dead or dying. War Prince Dracor finally understood. These humans were not lucky. They were not using some secret weapon. They were simply better at war than anyone the Krathon had ever fought. They moved like they had been born in combat. Every shot was precise. Every maneuver was perfect. They fought with a skill that came from thousands of years of killing each other. "Retreat," Dracor ordered. "All ships fall back to hyperspace coordinates." The surviving Krathon vessels broke formation and ran. Of the 40 ships that had begun the battle, only 16 remained. The others were debris, scattered across the space around Valara Prime. The human fleet did not pursue. They held position over the planet, weapons still hot and ready. On the Defiance's bridge, Martinez allowed herself to breathe. They had won. Against impossible odds, 15 human ships had defeated 40 Krathon vessels. "Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the planet," Ben said. "It is Ambassador Theron." "Put him through." The Volari appeared on the screen. His face showed a mixture of gratitude and horror. "You saved us," he said. "We are in your debt forever." But the violence, the destruction, I had no idea humans were so brutal. We did what was necessary, Martinez replied. The Krathon gave us no choice. I understand, Theron said slowly. But please help me understand. How did you defeat them so easily? The Krathon have conquered 17 species. Their fleet was 4 times your size. Martinez was quiet for a moment. Other species fight wars to conquer. They fight for resources or territory. Humans fight wars to survive. We have been killing each other since we learned to pick up rocks. Every weapon we have was designed to destroy other humans, who are just as smart and just as dangerous as we are. The Krathon never stood a chance. Below them, Valara Prime slowly turned in space. The bombardment had stopped. The fires would eventually go out. The Valari had survived, and the galaxy had just learned a valuable lesson. Humanity had arrived, and they had brought the fury of 10,000 years of war with them. Ambassador Claire Mitchell stepped off the shuttle onto Valara Prime 3 days after the battle. The spaceport was damaged but still functional. Repair crews worked everywhere she looked, fixing what the Krathon bombardment had broken. The air smelled of smoke and something else, something bitter that she could not identify. A group of Valari waited for her at the terminal. Ambassador Theron stood at their center, flanked by 4 others wearing elaborate robes. These were members of the Valari High Council, the leaders of their entire species. Welcome to Valara Prime, Theron said, though I wish it were under better circumstances. Please come with us. The council wishes to speak with you. They led her through the city. Claire tried not to stare at the destruction. Entire blocks had been leveled by the Krathon bombardment. Bodies were still being pulled from the rubble. Medical centers overflowed with the wounded. The Valari moved through it all with quiet dignity, helping each other without complaint. The council building had survived mostly intact. Inside, the Valari had prepared a meeting room. Claire sat across from 5 council members, including Theron and an elderly Valari named Elder Seema. We are grateful for your intervention, Elder Seema began. Without humanity, our species would have been extinct within days. We acknowledge this debt. But you have concerns, Claire said. She could hear it in the elder's voice. Yes, Seema admitted. We are a peaceful people, Ambassador. We have not fought a war in over 3,000 years. We resolved long ago that violence only breeds more violence. We believed that reason and diplomacy could solve any problem. The Krathon proved you wrong, Claire said gently. They did, Seema agreed, and so we called for help. But when your ships arrived, the violence we witnessed shocked us. Your weapons, the nuclear explosions, the way your ships tore through the Krathon fleet like it was nothing. We wonder if we have traded one danger for another. Claire took a deep breath. This was the conversation she had been dreading. Elder Seema, I understand your concerns. Humanity is violent. We will not deny this. We have fought more wars than we can count. We have killed billions of our own species over the centuries. But we learned something from all that death. We learned that sometimes peace must be defended with strength. But at what cost? Another council member asked. How many Krathon died in that battle? Thousands? Tens of thousands? The Krathon chose to attack, Claire replied. Captain Martinez gave them a chance to withdraw peacefully. They refused. They thought we were weak. They thought they could continue their conquest. We showed them they were wrong. And if they return? Theron asked quietly. Before Claire could answer, the door opened. Lieutenant Megan Foster entered, her face pale. The intelligence officer had been working nonstop since the battle, analyzing data and monitoring Krathon communications. Forgive the interruption, Megan said, but you all need to hear this. We have intercepted Krathon military transmissions. They are gathering a new fleet. 200 ships. They will arrive in approximately 3 weeks. The room went silent. Elder Seema's face showed pure despair. 200 ships? How can we possibly survive that? We cannot, Theron said quietly. 15 human ships defeated 40 Krathon vessels. But 200? Even humanity cannot fight those odds. Claire stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see human and Valari crews working together to repair the damage. In just 3 days, the 2 species had begun to cooperate. Valari technical knowledge combined with human practical experience was already showing results. Elder Seema, Claire said, turning back to face the council. May I speak frankly? Please do. Your people are brilliant. Your technology is centuries ahead of ours in many ways. But you have forgotten something important. You have forgotten that evil exists in the galaxy. The Krathon are not interested in debate. They do not care about your philosophy. They want to conquer and destroy. Against enemies like that, peace without strength is just another word for surrender. So what do you propose? Seema asked. We fight, Claire said simply. Admiral Peterson is already sending more ships. We will be outnumbered, yes. But we will not be outfought. And if we combine Valari technology with human weapons, we might have a chance. You would risk more of your people for us? Theron asked, surprise clear in his voice. Yes, Claire said. Because if we let the Krathon destroy you, they will think humans are afraid. They will come for us next. Better to end this threat now. On board the Defiance, Captain Martinez met with her senior officers. Commander Ryan Cole had the tactical display active, showing simulations of the coming battle. None of them were encouraging. 200 Krathon ships, Cole said grimly. Even if Admiral Peterson sends us every ship we have, we will still be outnumbered 4-1. Then we do not fight fair, Martinez said. We use the asteroid field. We set traps. We make them bleed for every inch of space. Captain, there is something else, said Commander Chris Palmer, the chief engineer. The Valari have offered to share their shield technology with us. I have been working with their scientists. If we can integrate their shields with our ships, we could significantly improve our survival odds. How long will the integration take? For one ship? About a week. For the entire fleet? Palmer shook his head. We do not have enough time. But I have another idea. What if we do not integrate the shields into our ships? What if we use the Valari shields as a defensive screen? They could protect us while we attack. Martinez considered this. Can the Valari generate shields that large? According to their scientists, yes. They have never used their shields for military purposes, but the technology is there. We would need to protect their shield generators, but if we can do that, we could level the playing field considerably. Make it happen, Martinez ordered. Work with the Valari. Get me those shields. Over the next week, human and Valari crews worked together around the clock. The partnership was awkward at first. The Valari were shocked by human directness and informality. The humans found the Valari too cautious and theoretical, but slowly, they learned to work together. Lieutenant Ben Harper found himself working alongside a young Valari scientist named Kira. She was fascinated by human language and culture, asking him endless questions about Earth. I do not understand, Kira said one day as they calibrated a shield generator. Why do humans fight so much? Your history is filled with wars. Do you not see the damage it causes? Of course we do, Ben replied. But we also understand that some things are worth fighting for. Freedom, justice, the lives of innocent people. If we had not fought, we would still be slaves to kings and emperors. But surely there are better ways to solve problems. Maybe, Ben admitted. But when someone comes to kill you, you do not have time for a debate. You fight or you die. It is that simple. Admiral Peterson arrived with 20 additional human warships. The combined fleet now numbered 35 vessels. Still far fewer than the 200 Krathon ships that were coming, but better than before. Peterson met with Captain Martinez and Ambassador Claire in the conference room of the Defiance. The Admiral looked tired but determined. The politicians back on Earth are nervous, Peterson said. They think we are getting involved in something that is not our problem. Some want to withdraw the fleet and let the Valari fend for themselves. What did you tell them? Martinez asked. I told them that if we run now, we will be running forever. The Krathon need to learn that humanity does not abandon its allies. And more importantly, they need to learn that attacking humans or our friends comes with a heavy price. The Valari shields are almost ready, Martinez reported. Commander Palmer thinks we can create a defensive sphere around the planet. The Krathon will have to get through the shields to reach Valara Prime. That will give us a choke point to exploit. Good, Peterson said, because I have some intelligence that changes everything. The Krathon are not just sending 200 ships. They are sending War Prince Drakor again, in command of their new flagship, the Devastator. It is a dreadnought, twice the size of any ship we have ever seen. They want revenge for their defeat, and they are bringing everything they have to get it. Claire leaned forward. Admiral, do we really have a chance? Peterson was quiet for a long moment. Captain Martinez defeated 40 ships with 15. Now we have 35 ships in Valari technology. The odds are better than they were. But honestly, I do not know if we can win this. All I know is that we have to try. Outside the window, Valara Prime turned slowly in space. Millions of Valari lived on that planet. going about their lives trusting that humanity would protect them. It was a heavy burden to carry. But humanity had always been good at carrying heavy burdens. They had survived ice ages and plagues. They had climbed out of caves and reached for the stars. They had fought 10,000 wars and learned from everyone. The Krathon were coming with fire and fury. But they were about to learn that humanity could answer with even greater fire and even greater fury. The Krathon invasion fleet arrived exactly 3 weeks after their defeat. 200 warships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Valara system, their weapons already charging. At their center loomed the Devastator, a ship so massive it seemed to dwarf entire planets. War Prince Drakor stood on the bridge of his flagship, his tusks gleaming in the red light of the combat displays. He had been humiliated by the humans in their last encounter. His superiors had nearly executed him for the defeat. Now he had one chance to redeem himself by destroying the humans completely. "Begin broadcast on all frequencies," Drakor commanded. His image appeared on every screen in the system, including those on the human fleet. Captain Lisa Martinez watched from the bridge of the Defiance as the Krathon leader delivered his ultimatum. "Humans," Drakor growled. "You made a mistake when you interfered with the Krathon Empire. Your last victory was luck, nothing more. Now face the true might of our forces. Surrender immediately and we will kill you quickly. Resist and you will suffer for days before we grant you the mercy of death." Martinez muted the transmission and turned to her crew. "Well, he certainly knows how to make a first impression. Commander Cole, are all ships in position?" "Yes, Captain. All 35 vessels are ready. The Valari shield generators are active and stable. We are as prepared as we can be." "Then let us show the Krathon that humans do not surrender," Martinez said. She opened a channel to the entire fleet. "All ships, this is Captain Martinez. Today we face an enemy that thinks we are weak. They think we are afraid. They think they can intimidate us with numbers. Let us prove them wrong. Let us show the galaxy what humans do when someone threatens the innocent. Fire at will." The human fleet did not wait for the Krathon to attack first. 35 ships opened fire simultaneously, railguns and missiles streaking across the void. The Krathon, expecting the humans to cower, were caught off guard. 3 ships exploded before they could even raise their shields. But this time the Krathon were prepared. They had studied the human tactics from the previous battle. They spread their formation wide, refusing to cluster together. They used electronic countermeasures to confuse human targeting systems. And they unleashed a wall of firepower that made their first attack look like a warning shot. "Shields holding," Cole reported as the Defiance shook under the assault. "But we are taking heavy fire. We cannot maintain this position for long." "We do not need to hold," Martinez replied. She activated a coded signal. "All ships, execute Plan Delta 9. The human fleet split into smaller groups and retreated behind the Valari shield generators. The massive energy barriers flickered to life, creating a sphere of protection around Valara Prime. The Krathon weapons crashed against the shields like waves against a cliff. War Prince Drakor snarled in frustration. "What is this? Where did they get shield technology like that?" "The Valari, my lord," one of his officers replied. "The humans must have convinced them to fight." "Impossible," Drakor said. "The Valari are pacifists. They do not fight. They do not even have weapons. They do not need weapons, my lord. They have humans to fight for them." Drakor's eyes narrowed. "Then we destroy the shield generators. All ships concentrate fire on those installations. Once the shields fall, we will crush the humans and bombard the planet until nothing remains." The Krathon fleet focused their attack on the shield generators positioned around the planet. The generators were massive structures, each one the size of a small building. They were protected by automated defense systems and surrounded by debris fields, but they were still vulnerable. "They are targeting the generators," Cole reported. "Generator 3 is taking heavy damage." "Send the lightning and the storm," Martinez ordered. "Protect that generator at all costs." 2 human ships peeled away from the fleet and positioned themselves between the Krathon attackers and the threatened generator. They poured fire into the advancing enemy ships, destroying 2 and driving the others back. But the cost was high. The lightning took critical damage and had to fall back for repairs. Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez sat in the cockpit of his fighter, watching the battle unfold on his instruments. He commanded a squadron of 12 small craft, launched from the HSS Vengeance. In traditional space combat, Fighters were almost useless against capital ships, but Sam had a different mission. Shadow Squadron, this is Rodriguez. Time to go to work. Stay tight and follow my lead. The fighters streaked away from the fleet, flying low and fast. They used the debris and asteroids around Valara Prime as cover, hiding from the Krathon sensors. It took them nearly an hour to work their way through the battlefield, but finally they reached their target. There, Sam said, highlighting a cluster of 5 Krathon battleships on his display. Plant your packages and get out. We only get one shot at this. The fighters swept in close to the Krathon ships, so close that the enemy point defense systems could not track them without hitting their own vessels. Each fighter carried a single tactical nuclear device, specially modified to attach to ship hulls. The pilots flew with insane precision, dodging fire and debris, placing their weapons with care. Packages delivered, Sam reported. Shadow Squadron, break off and head for home. The fighters scattered in 12 different directions. Behind them, the nuclear devices counted down. 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 0. The explosions were spectacular. 5 Krathon ships died in balls of nuclear fire. The ships closest to them took heavy damage from the blasts. The Krathon formation collapsed into chaos as captains tried to figure out what had happened. What was that? Drakkar roared. How did they get nuclear weapons through our defenses? No one had an answer. The Krathon had never faced tactics like this. Human fighters were too small, too fast, and too unpredictable. Their pilots flew with a reckless courage that bordered on insanity. But the Krathon adapted quickly. They began deploying their own fighters and tightening their formations. The battle settled into a brutal grind, both sides taking terrible losses. Commander Kate Morrison commanded the HSS Thunder, a heavy cruiser positioned on the flank of the human formation. She watched as Krathon ships slowly pushed forward, using sheer numbers to overwhelm the defenders. Captain, we cannot hold this position much longer, her tactical officer reported. We have lost 6 ships already. The Krathon are pushing through our lines. Then we stop playing defense, Morrison said. All power to engines. We are going straight down their throat. The Thunder accelerated to maximum speed, charging directly at the Krathon center. The enemy fleet concentrated fire on the attacking ship. Explosions rippled across the Thunder's hull as shields failed and armor melted. Keep going, Morrison ordered as alarms screamed. We just need to get close enough. The Thunder plowed into the Krathon formation like a battering ram. At point-blank range, Morrison unleashed everything her ship had. Railguns fired until their barrels glowed red-hot. Missile tubes emptied their entire payload. The Thunder killed or crippled 8 Krathon ships before the damage became too much. Abandon ship, Morrison ordered. Everyone to the escape pods, now. The crew evacuated in seconds, well-trained and disciplined even in disaster. Morrison was the last to leave, watching from her pod as the Thunder broke apart under continued fire. But her sacrifice had opened a gap in the Krathon lines. Captain Dan Fletcher saw his chance. He commanded the HSS Retribution, one of the newest ships in the human fleet. All ships concentrate fire on that gap. We are breaking through. 6 human ships charged forward, exploiting the opening Morrison had created. They swept through the Krathon formation, firing in all directions. The Krathon tried to close ranks, but it was too late. The human ships were inside their defensive perimeter. Target the Devastator, Fletcher ordered. If we can take out their flagship, the rest might lose heart. The Retribution accelerated toward Drakkar's massive dreadnought. The Devastator's weapons tore into Fletcher's ship, ripping through armor and destroying systems. But Fletcher kept going, driven by pure determination. Railguns locked on target, his tactical officer reported, firing. 3 tungsten rods struck the Devastator's engine section in rapid succession. The massive ship shuddered as its main drives failed. It began to drift, unable to maneuver. Got him, Fletcher said just before a Krathon plasma torpedo struck the Retribution's bridge. The ship went silent, dead in space. On the Devastator's bridge, War Prince Drakkar watched his fleet falling apart. 60 ships destroyed, 40 more damaged. The humans were winning again, despite being outnumbered 6-1. It was impossible. It was madness. But it was happening. My lord, we are receiving a new transmission, his communications officer said. It is from the human admiral. Admiral Kyle Peterson's face appeared on the screen. The old warrior looked tired, but his eyes were hard as iron. War Prince Drakkar, Peterson said. You have one chance to survive this day. Order your ships to withdraw immediately. If you refuse, we will destroy every single vessel in your fleet. Choose wisely. You have 2 minutes. Drakkar stared at the human admiral in disbelief. You dare give me an ultimatum? I have 140 ships left. You have barely 30. 1 minute and 45 seconds, Peterson replied calmly. I will not retreat. Drakkar roared. The Krathon Empire does not flee from inferior species. We will fight until every one of your ships is destroyed. So be it, Peterson said and closed the channel. 20 new human warships dropped out of hyperspace behind the Krathon fleet. Admiral Peterson had held them in reserve, waiting for the perfect moment. Fresh ships with full weapons and undamaged systems fell upon the exhausted Krathon forces. The battle that followed was later called the Massacre of Valara Prime. The Krathon, caught between 2 human forces and unable to maneuver due to the damaged Devastator, died by the dozens. Their pride and arrogance had blinded them to the trap. War Prince Drakkar watched his empire's fleet burn. He had brought 200 ships to destroy the humans. Now barely 40 remained, and those were fleeing in panic. His own flagship was crippled and helpless. Send the retreat signal, he finally whispered. All ships withdraw. The surviving Krathon vessels jumped to hyperspace, running from the humans who had defeated them twice. The battle was over. Valara Prime was saved, and the galaxy would never again doubt humanity's strength. The wreckage drifted in orbit around Valara Prime like a metal graveyard. Pieces of both human and Krathon ships floated among the stars, silent monuments to the battle that had changed everything. Captain Lisa Martinez stood in the observation deck of the Defiance, looking out at the debris field and thinking about the cost of victory. They had won. The Krathon had been defeated and driven away. But the price had been high. 8 human ships destroyed, hundreds of crew members dead, thousands more wounded. Commander Kate Morrison was among the dead, along with Captain Dan Fletcher and too many others to count. Captain, you are needed on the bridge. Lieutenant Ben Harper's voice came through her communicator. We are receiving multiple transmissions from across the galaxy. Martinez made her way back to the bridge. The communications display was filled with incoming messages. The Galactic Council wanted to speak with her. Various species were requesting diplomatic channels. News organizations were demanding interviews. Everyone wanted to know about the humans who had defeated the Krathon Empire. Play the message from the Galactic Council first, Martinez ordered. The screen showed a being she recognized from the databases, High Counselor Vex of the Zarian species, one of the oldest and most powerful members of the galactic community. He looked uncomfortable. Captain Martinez, Vex said carefully, the Galactic Council acknowledges your victory over the Krathon forces. However, we must express concern about the methods you employed. The use of nuclear weapons is banned under Council regulations. Your tactics were unnecessarily brutal. We would like to discuss limitations on human military activities going forward. Martinez felt her anger rise but kept her voice level. High Counselor, humanity never signed your weapons treaties. We told you this when we first made contact. As for our tactics being brutal, I would remind you that the Valari requested our help after the Council abandoned them. We did what was necessary to protect innocent lives. Nevertheless, Vex continued, the Council believes that rules must be established. Your species is too aggressive, too quick to resort to violence. This must be controlled. With respect, High Counselor, Martinez said coldly, where was the Council when the Krathon were slaughtering the Valari? Where was your concern for innocent lives then? You had the power to stop this war before it started, but you chose neutrality. We chose to act. And now you want to punish us for your cowardice. The transmission ended abruptly. Ben looked at Martinez with wide eyes. Captain, you just insulted the head of the Galactic Council. Good, Martinez replied. Let them be insulted. Maybe next time they will actually do something when a peaceful species is facing extinction. 3 days later, Ambassador Nicole Grant arrived at the Galactic Council headquarters. The massive station orbited a neutral star system, home to representatives from over 50 species. Nicole had been Earth's ambassador to the Council for 5 years, mostly ignored and dismissed by the older species. Today was different. Today, guards escorted her to the main chamber with respect bordering on fear. Today, representatives from every species wanted to speak with her. Today, humanity mattered. The council chamber was circular with seats arranged in tiers. Nicole took her place at the speaking platform while hundreds of alien representatives watched. High Counselor Vex called the session to order. Ambassador Grant, Vex began. The Council has convened to discuss humanity's actions at Valara Prime. While we acknowledge that you saved the Valari species from destruction, we have serious concerns about how you achieved this victory. What concerns? Nicole asked bluntly. A representative from the Morphine species stood up. Your weapons are too destructive. Your tactics are barbaric. You treat war like it is natural, like violence is the first option rather than the last. Nicole looked around the chamber slowly. Tell me, how many of you voted to help the Valari when they asked? Silence filled the chamber. Not a single representative raised their hand. How many of you sent even a single ship to defend them? More silence. How many of you did anything except watch while millions died? A representative from the Kaldari species finally spoke. We had trade agreements to consider. Economic consequences. We could not risk war with the Krathon over one species. Then you have no right to criticize our methods, Nicole said sharply. The Valari begged for help. You ignored them, we answered. And yes, we answered with violence. We answered with nuclear weapons and railguns and tactics you find disturbing. But we answered. That is the difference between humanity and the rest of you. This is exactly what we feared, Vex said. Humans are too quick to resort to violence. You solve problems with weapons instead of words. We tried words first, Nicole reminded him. Captain Martinez offered the Krathon a chance to withdraw peacefully. They laughed at her. They attacked. What would you have had us do? Ask them nicely to stop killing people? Another representative stood up. But your tactics, Ambassador. Using fighters to plant nuclear weapons on enemy ships? Ramming attacks. These are not civilized methods of warfare. Nicole felt her patience snap. Civilized? You want civilized warfare? Let me tell you about civilized warfare. Civilized warfare is what let the Krathon conquer 17 species without serious opposition. Civilized warfare is what let them kill billions while you debated trade agreements. We did not come here to be civilized. We came here to win. She paused, looking around the chamber. You asked for peace. We gave you what peace costs. You were unwilling to pay that price. We were not. And now you sit in your comfortable seat safe because humans are willing to do the dirty work you refuse to do, and you judge us for it. The chamber erupted in argument. Some species agreed with Nicole. Others were outraged. But no one could deny that she was right. The Galactic Council had failed, and humanity had succeeded. On Valara Prime, Ambassador Claire Mitchell met with Elder Seema and the Valari High Council. The meeting was somber. The Valari were safe, but they were struggling with what they had witnessed. We are grateful, Elder Seema said. Please understand this. Without humanity, we would be extinct, but we find ourselves troubled by what we have learned about your species. I understand, Claire said. You are peaceful people. Violence disturbs you. It is more than that, Seema replied. Your people seem comfortable with war, like it is a natural part of existence. That frightens us. War is a natural part of existence, Claire said. Not because we want it to be, but because evil exists. The Krathon proved that. They came to your world with the intent to destroy everyone and everything. Against enemies like that, peace without strength is just another word for surrender. But at what cost? Another council member asked. How many Krathon died in those battles? Thousands? Tens of thousands? They were living beings too. They were, Claire agreed. And every death weighs on us. But they made a choice. They chose to attack. They chose to kill. We gave them multiple chances to withdraw. They refused. We did what we had to do to protect you. Seema was quiet for a long moment. I think I am beginning to understand. You fight not because you love violence, but because you love peace enough to defend it. Is that correct? Yes, Claire said. Exactly that. We have fought so many wars throughout our history. We know the cost of violence better than anyone. But we also know the cost of not fighting when fighting is necessary. Sometimes the price of peace is war. Then we will honor our agreement, Seema said. We promised you access to our technology in exchange for protection. The Valari always keep their promises. Over the next few months, the partnership between humans and Valari deepened. Valari scientists worked with human engineers, combining their knowledge in ways that benefited both species. Human ships began to incorporate Valari shield technology. Valari medical science saved countless human lives. Other species watched this partnership with interest. Some approached humanity with offers of trade and alliance. They had seen what humans could do in battle. They wanted those humans on their side, not against them. Lieutenant Hannah Price, recently promoted to commander, found herself leading a new division focused on mutual defense agreements. Species that had once dismissed humanity now lined up to request protection. "It is strange," she told Admiral Peterson one day. 6 months ago, nobody in the galaxy knew we existed. Now they all want to be our friends." "They do not want to be our friends," Peterson corrected gently. "They want to be safe. They have realized that the galaxy is more dangerous than they thought, and they have learned that humans are very good at dealing with danger." The Krathon Empire, meanwhile, faced its own reckoning. War Prince Dracor was executed for his failures. The new Krathon leadership looked at the devastation humanity had inflicted and made a surprising decision. They sent an ambassador to Earth. The Krathon ambassador arrived with a fleet of guards expecting hostility. Instead, he found professional courtesy. Admiral Peterson met with him personally. "We do not want war with humanity," the Krathon ambassador said bluntly. "We have fought 17 species and conquered them all. But we cannot conquer you. Your weapons are too effective. Your tactics are too unpredictable. Your warriors are too skilled. We wish to negotiate a peace treaty." "A peace treaty," Peterson repeated. "This is unprecedented for the Krathon, is it not? You have never made peace with anyone." "We have never needed to," the ambassador admitted, "but humanity has taught us a valuable lesson. Some prey fights back, and when that prey is more dangerous than the predator, it is time to reconsider your strategy." The treaty was signed 3 months later. The Krathon agreed to cease all expansion into the sector surrounding human and Volari space. They would pay reparations to the Volari for the damage they had caused. In exchange, humanity would not pursue further military action against the Krathon Empire. On the day the treaty was signed, Captain Martinez stood on the bridge of the Defiance looking out at the stars. Lieutenant Ben Harper approached her with a datapad. "Captain, we are receiving new orders from Admiral Peterson. We are being assigned to patrol the border regions. It seems several species have requested human presence in their space as a deterrent to potential threats." Martinez smiled slightly. 6 months ago we were nobodies. Now we are the galaxy's police force. "Does that bother you?" Ben asked. "No," Martinez said, "because we are not doing it for glory or power. We are doing it because it is right. Because someone has to stand between the innocent and those who would hurt them. And if that someone has to be human, then so be it." She activated the ship-wide communications. "All hands, this is the captain.
We have new orders."
"We are heading to the outer reach to patrol the border systems. There are species out there who need protection. Species who are afraid. We are going to show them that they are not alone. We are going to show them what humanity stands for." The Defiance turned toward the stars, engines glowing bright. Behind it, the rest of the human fleet followed. They were not conquerors. They were not bullies. They were defenders. And the galaxy was learning that when humanity made a promise to protect someone, they kept that promise. Ambassador Nicole Grant sent a final report back to Earth, summarizing the changed state of galactic affairs. She ended it with a simple observation. For thousands of years, the galaxy has been peaceful because the strong chose not to fight. Now the galaxy is learning a different kind of peace. Peace defended by those willing to fight for it. The other species may never fully understand humanity. They may never agree with our methods, but they will respect us. And more importantly, they will know that when someone begs for help, humanity will answer. We will answer with everything we have. We will answer with fire and fury, and we will never back down." The message was received on Earth and filed away in the historical archives. Future generations would read it and understand. Humanity had gone to the stars not as conquerors, but as protectors. They had shown the galaxy what it meant to fight for something greater than yourself. And the galaxy would never forget.